Hi guys! It's been a while, definitely. It's been a while since I made any kind of content. And this video is gonna be kind of different. Since it's definitely not a stream, as you can see, and it's a really different format I'm trying to do. I basically just want to try and get back into making content like streaming, since I still have Kingdom Hearts to finish. I'm stalling a lot on that because I'm scared of the final fight. But yeah, it's the video, as you can see. It's nothing really new for you guys, but I thought it's a really nice way. I don't know how to say it, but it's personally a really nice way for me to get used to everything again. So yeah, let's try. So let's talk a bit about Life is Strange, because heck yes, life is strange. Thanks for the fucking notification, my laptop. Just ignore that part, thanks, and let's focus on the actual thing. Yeah, basically, some of you guys know Life is Strange, some of you guys watched my Let's Play, my streams of it, and it's a game I really like. And Life is Strange is about this girl called Max, and she's a photography student. She's shy, but she's also in a way very justice oriented, and even though she's shy, she's also a very open person, and she goes to that school in Arcadia Bay where popularity and money matters a lot, which she doesn't have, and she doesn't need it to feel like a part of something. And the game basically starts with her having a dream where she's stuck in a storm, and in that storm she almost basically dies, and then she wakes up in class, and that's how she figures out at some point that she can rewind time after something happened in school, and she's reliving the situation after seeing something unpleasant. And through that power, she reconciles with her old childhood friend Chloe. And Chloe is mad because her friend disappeared, and she's trying to figure out what happened with her. And through Max, she tries to find out the secrets of Arcadia Bay and the school, and in general the dark story that's unfolding in Arcadia. And Max and Chloe have their up and downs, but they find each other again as friends. But I will get back to that later, and that's basically the story, how Max deals with her rewind powers, and how our decisions change the events and have consequences on people and on the city itself. I can't. I already want to say something, but it's too early. Life is Strange is a game I personally really like. When it came out, I just watched a Let's Play of it because I had no way to play it myself at that time. I didn't have a really good laptop. I didn't have any console that could play it, but it was a game I enjoyed watching played by others. And when I finally got my PlayStation 4 and got the chance to play it myself, I was excited because it's totally different to be responsible for the actions you choose than watching someone else. It was personally one of my first experiences with those choice-based games and that those choices have consequences when I watched it back in 2015. But which made me I really liked the concept. It felt like as if you are really part of it, and Life is Strange was in a way also very relatable, but sometimes I kind of wondered if like I wondered if I'm from Germany, so I wondered if back in 2015 teenagers really talked like the way they talk in Life is Strange, because in a way it's not really appealing. It's kind of, I would say, cringy. But I appreciate that the developers try to appeal the younger audience in our age back then, and I mean it appealed, even though the dialogues were kind of cringe sometimes. It still had its charm, so I can't really complain. It's a really thoughtful game, and I really like the art style they used. It's a really unique way of gameplay, definitely. And it had something artistic to it, definitely. Personally, for me, it had like that I would say oil painting style. I actually draw, but I don't want to pretend I have any clue about what I'm talking about when it's about art. I really like the art, the concept art of it. I'm gonna move on. It's the first time I make this kind of video, so sorry in case this seems rushed. So let's talk about the characters. Yes. Max is a girl I really like, but sometimes I wish she wouldn't let Chloe, her old childhood friend, who became kind of rude and controlled Max a lot, in my opinion, and was quite manipulative. And I didn't like how Max let Chloe sometimes step on her a lot, stomp over her, and but Max overall is a person with good intentions and very justice oriented, and even though she's shy, but she always found a way to be honest and open. Of course, it depended on our decisions as well, but she is a very genuine person. And meanwhile, Chloe, I don't know how many people like Chloe, but if you watch my streams, you know I hate this girl. I hate her so much. After her friend disappeared, her friend Rachel was really popular and pretty. Chloe was desperate to find out what happened to her, and it felt like no one really cared about Rachel anymore, of figuring out what happened. But when Chloe got back together with Max, reconciled with her, and they became friends again, it felt like she made use of Max, because at first she was really rude to Max about how after Max moved away, that Max didn't really try to work on the friendship, and how she started a new life and didn't care about her anymore. And a friendship is two-sided. It's a give and take, and it also needs Chloe to approach Max even when they weren't living in the same city anymore. And I think she made a use of Max in any possible way for Rachel's sake, especially when she found out about Max's powers. And she's frustrating. I just can't deal with her. She's such a toxic friend, in my opinion, especially whenever she would throw a Max in a guilt trip. Like she was very egoistic in many ways, and if Max didn't agree with her, she would get super upset and say what a bad friend Max is, and I don't really think that's how it should be. And I didn't like how Max, as a person itself, would usually let Chloe do that, and that's why I really liked Warren, because he wasn't like that. It was obvious he had a total crush on Max, but he was a genuine friend, and he wasn't unhealthy. He was very supportive, and the same goes to Kate. Kate is such a sweet character who didn't deserve what happened in the game, and I really loved Max and Kate's friendship, especially when you, as Max, fought for Kate and that she gets her justice that she deserves. And whenever Chloe had the chance, she would tell Max how it's unfair of her to put others before her, and meanwhile when Chloe would put Max beneath Rachel. All Chloe cared for was Rachel. And of course some would think, hey, that's how those two got back together as friends. That's how they bonded again. That was their way of bonding. But personally, for me, it was totally unhealthy, and Chloe was so incredibly disrespectful to Max that I couldn't stop hating on her. There was a time where I felt sad for her, and where I was like, I wish she would have stayed the way where she was when we went through time through a picture and stopped her dad from dying, which resulted in Chloe not being able to move on her own anymore. And that was the Chloe I liked, the one before they drifted apart. But the Chloe afterwards, and how she treated Max, how she always put the fault in Max for leaving her alone, was just so irresponsible of her. And it's normal that if you move away, that there is a chance that you drift apart and that your best friend finds new friends. It's hard to live a life together if you aren't together anymore. Which is also why, because of Chloe's attitude, and because, in my opinion, didn't seem fit, that I didn't make Max and Chloe end up together. And Max didn't seem like the person who would, in a way, choose her friend above a whole city. I just didn't feel the romance between them. I could acknowledge them as friends, but I couldn't acknowledge them as a couple, because I thought Chloe wouldn't be healthy for Max, mentally especially. And Chloe tends to, I think I already said it, but Chloe tends to always think she's right and others are wrong, and she snaps a lot. She's very emotional, and it's just not, it's emotional in a really bad way. She has such a bad temper, and I don't think Max would deserve that. So I chose at the end of the game for Chloe to die. And I personally really like the dynamics of Raren and Max, even though I felt like it was still missing. But I think something between those two felt more like a relationship, like a love relationship, than Chloe and Max. For between Chloe and Max, it felt like as if Max was just a replacement for Rachel, just a gap filler, because Chloe had so many trust issues, but she needed love, she needed affection, attention, and Max gave it to her at that time. But it didn't seem genuine. It seemed like it was just a replacement because Rachel wasn't there anymore. Yeah. It's and even though I hate Chloe, I still appreciate her as a character, and she isn't really the only character I hate. Like, I really hated, I genuinely hated Mr. Jefferson. Like, Mr. Jefferson, he's that really cool, outgoing, and good-looking teacher, and you wouldn't think at first that he's a bad person, and even if it's a common pattern, I like that the attractive teacher was in the end the culprit, for students disappearing and dying. Though I hated him. It was disgusting. It was genuinely disgusting and heart-wrenching to see someone who's so much trusted by his students make use of this trust. And yeah. Though a character I really liked was Chloe's mother. She's honestly a sweetheart, and she deserved so much better. And even though David is quite an aggressive person, straightforward, he's responsible, he's caring, and at first he seems suspicious. He seems like a control freak. And Chloe also hates him because she just couldn't accept her mom marrying someone else who seemed like a jerk, who seemed like he was patronizing her. But I couldn't hate him because throughout the game I could still see him care about Chloe like his own daughter, and he wasn't happy about their relationship himself. He wished to have a better relationship with her, but with Chloe having never accepted him and never cooperating, it was also just hard for him to find his place and feel welcome and be happy beside the woman he started to love. And it's hard if the child of that woman isn't acknowledging you, even though you want the best for them. His ways weren't always the best ones, but he had good intentions. Victoria is the typical popular girl, but was actually insecure and wouldn't really openly show when she's actually worried or actually likes you. She would always put her popularity above you. But it's such a common pattern we even know from real life, that there are always such people, but we never know the story. And Victoria had her reasons, probably. Of course, I don't want to justify how she was involved in several things, but at that age, we just want to belong. And sometimes we are egoistic in that sense and reckless and don't care about others except us. We just want to find our place in the world. And Nathan did so many horrible things. He did so many horrible things. He was working with Mr. Jefferson, but at the end of the game, we know Nathan wasn't mentally stable. The only person in his family who showed him affection was his bigger sister, his older sister. And Mr. Jefferson, you made use of his fragility by pretending to be like a father to him, like a dad. Take on the role of a father, because his father only cared about his public reputation, his popularity, his money. Even though his family already had a history of doing bad things. So Nathan was under a lot of pressure, relied on drugs and so on. So yeah, Mr. Jefferson just made use of his fragility and framed him for everything at first. Like, everything would lead back to Nathan for being responsible for Rachel's death, for Kate's nude pictures and all that. And even though I can't stand him, I feel sad for him, especially after that phone call around the end of the game where he calls Max and is having a breakdown. Overall, Life is Strange is a game I enjoyed, and I really like the concept, especially with the setting we can relate on, like the school life setting. I like those settings, but with a touch of supernatural stuff and science fiction, and it's just a genre I really like. And it's a game that focuses a lot on mental health. And of course, you could say a bunch of game developers jump onto that popularity train of, yeah, let's cover that, so people will praise us for that. But I think Life is Strange genuinely wanted to focus on mental health, drug and alcohol overuse, and how social inclusion is important for people, for teenagers, and how adults are so focused on money. Like the principal who had an alcohol problem, but was so fixed on not ruining the school reputation and not losing money and getting the funds from Nathan's dad. So he would refuse to cooperate with Max for the sake of keeping his position. I think I repeat myself, but it's a good game, and it has a good gameplay length. I would say it wasn't too long, it wasn't too short. I like the concept of chapters, and I don't really think I have something I would tell the developers to improve about the game, except get rid of Chloe. No, just kidding. I think it's good that Chloe's there, because I had a character I could hate on and could let my anger out on. But no. Life is Strange is a good game for people, especially who like to play games but can't play games like shooters, or it's a bad example, but you get the drill. It had really nice music, really chill beats, and there was a time even in the stream where I started crying, and I think if a game is possible to do that with you, you can say the developers did a good job. that they could touch your heart in such a way. Yes, I think that's the end of the video. I hope you liked it. I'm sorry if it seems kind of boring, and if I repeated myself, and if I'm too stuttery, and if some words were said too many times, but I still hope you kind of enjoyed it, and I would appreciate your support of watching my stuff and subscribing to me and leaving comments, and I would be really interested in your opinion about the game if you played it yourself or watched someone else play it. But I would be really interested by in reading your opinion about Life is Strange. Anyways, I hope I can get back on streaming again, hopefully in a couple days, and I will see some of you guys there. Bye!